All right, folks, welcome. 86 Boxing Haven. It's Josh here along with Boz. We're here to talk some boxing stuff, a little boxing chit. That's what we're calling it. And it's actually number 35 here. I may have mentioned 35 last week, but I was just kind of going off top, but I had to look back. I had some numbers listed wrong, but good to have you here, Boz. What's going on?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, despite the way I am clothed, it's very cold outside, but that's why we had to turn up the heat inside. So yeah,
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, it's cold here. See, I'm bundled up with the 86 boxing hoodie.
yeah,
It's keeping me warm
nice.
in here. Got the beard keeping me warm.
Oh yeah,
So
right.
keeping it
And
going. I
I
see you got the fresh cut. You're supposed to wait
yeah
until summer.
yeah, we had some snow also. Actually, first time today. First time.
Oh wow, hey, good stuff. Yeah, we had some in some of these states up here, the northern states, I would say, or more of them that are around more Midwest, I
Mm.
believe. And
Yeah,
then
the mountain, or not so much mountains, but anyway, I know there aren't many mountains in Midwest, not big ones. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah,
there's some in certain areas. But they're hilly areas there. But
yeah.
yeah, up there they've gotten some here and there. But
Well, the Rockies almost come, to the
oh yeah,
Midwest, I think, and you got the Appalachians also.
yeah. The
Yeah,
Rockies. I need to get out and see that in person myself. Never been there, but they look
yeah.
pretty cool in
I
pictures.
imagine it's pretty wonderful.
Well, yeah, cool. So we're here to talk boxing once again, and there was a decent amount of action this past weekend, but not a lot of big names actually. It was
No,
just a number of fights going all over. As a matter of fact, probably
yeah,
the marquee name that was out there was Jaime Munguia, the Mexican 160 pounder, former WBO 154-pound champion. He was taking on an Argentine fighter by the last name Coria,
yeah,
and this was going down in Mexico. Of course, it was Jaime Munguia looking to get back in the mix for 2022. This will likely be his final fight of this year, but they made some bold statements after the fight. As you know, Jaime Munguia picked up a third round TKO, ended things with a body shot, but he was pretty much in control the entire time. Now,
mm,
their big names for FY20 or 2023 are actually Gennady Triple G Golovkin and Jamal Charlo. So they've officially stated names, and that's something I know that I want to hear. No more, I'll fight anybody. Tell me some names of the people you want. And I guess Jaime's made it clear. So what are your thoughts?
yeah. uh, I don't know really. I mean, Munguia should, of course, now fight somebody that is one of the top ranked anyway fighters. He's been really like fighting subpar opponents for a while now. Since he moved up pretty much, from
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
154. Yeah, and I don't know about Triple G. I mean, yeah, of course, he's still a force, you might say,
Yeah.
at 160, but I don't know how long. The question is for how much longer. And I think the way that he actually won against Murata was also a little bit because Murata was going, a little bit on the slide, and
Yeah.
Triple G was able to take his best shots, and then Kai Murata kind of tired in that fight later on and was worn down. So and if Triple G should meet someone like either Charlo or Munguia, who is still at the top of their game,
Mm-hmm.
and can punch also, as of course. So it will be a different story, I imagine. I don't think he can just bounce back and
Yeah.
stop those guys. I doubt it. Yeah.
Yeah. At this age, for sure. Of course, Triple G is the name that is going to be thrown out there by everyone because he's still recognized and regarded
Yeah.
as the top of the division of 160 pounds. That is, even though he hasn't fought as often here over the last few years. Now, COVID was a reason behind some of that, But that aside, not only is he getting up there in age, he's also getting a little bit less active as well. So these
Mm,
guys are younger. And in the case of Jamal Charlo, he hasn't been as active in the sense that I don't think he's fought this year actually, and he got hurt. But
mm,
Munguia, for one thing, he has for the most part been active. We've just wanted to see him in there with some guys who are going to really push him. And we've had moments where we've seen that, but we're still unsure of him at that top level. So, of course, if he were to beat a Triple G, to take on and beat a Triple G, he'll get a lot of praise for that for some and all.
mm.
But
Yeah,
also, I think for those that follow the sport, they'll know that this probably isn't the best version of Triple G that was available in this particular juncture. So the win won't hold as much weight. And that's not to take anything away from Jaime Munguia, but it's just not that same Triple G that it would have been had he fought him when he was trying to do this some years back and he was denied the opportunity to do
mm,
so, which I think would have been major. So we'll see if that fight happens. And I guess a question of what Triple G wants to do in general, because I
yeah,
haven't really heard much of anything from him. And maybe the Charlo fight is more realistic in the sense that it's Golden Boy PBC. They just miraculously came up with a deal to at least put in principle Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. So maybe that's a start of something more.
yeah. Hopefully, I think Triple G is looking for one more last big fight, big payday. I don't think he intends to stay much longer.
Yeah,
Because he knows, he must be, of course, aware of the fact that he's not, at his best anymore, at his peak. And, I think if he fought someone like Munguia, especially, who is so, all out aggressive fighter who, can punch, he will just get a beating most likely. And eventually he'll be stopped in the fight. Definitely, I think so. I don't know. Charlo can be a little bit. Sometimes he goes all out. Sometimes he's more careful. Just looking to secure that win. On
yeah,
any way he can. On points. But Munguia would be a even more dangerous fight. I think. You know, for
yeah,
Triple G because of that factor. How
yeah.
aggressive Munguia is. Yeah.
Yeah, he can be very aggressive, especially when I mean that's how he started out. And when he first started out, he would exchange and really throw hands with anyone at any point in the fight, and
Yeah.
that was a
Even though
vulnerability.
he has also have a couple of fights anyway, where he didn't look, all that impressive.
Yeah, that is true.
So we
Usually, some
know,
good boxers have shown him trouble, and he
yeah,
hasn't been in with a ton of them. But when he has been in with a guy who more so chose to move and be more of a defensive fighter, more of
yeah,
a counter punching fighter, he has had some trouble. And that is from some of the guys who aren't really even big names in the division. So that
mm,
makes you question like, how is he going to look with someone who was really considered top level? Like, I think Demetrius Andre, for instance, he would be someone who probably would trouble him with his boxing style
mm. Oh
and
yeah,
his defensive style of fighting and his movement.
mm,
He's pretty tricky in that way. But that being said, if you choose to come forward and try and fight with Munguia, I think his strong suit is he can certainly do that. And he's a big young man, so
yeah,
he can pack a punch and some pop in him when he needed. So that makes
mm.
it interesting for sure.
Yeah. He's a fighter who simply imposes himself, physically on his opponents, and that's the way he wins. He doesn't really, lay back and wait for that perfect punch. He just
Yeah,
jumps at you and gets you out of there. That's how he
yeah.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it does make things interesting. It made me wonder, though, like you mentioned in Triple G, maybe looking for that one big payday. I don't know who that is. Is it Jaime Munguia? Is that the best option he has for that huge
Mm.
payday? Maybe Jamal Charlo. Of course,
Yeah.
Canelo, that's the one that everyone wants. And Canelo looks like he's going to be campaigning at 168. And I don't think anyone would really be into another Canelo fight. So
No,
it may
no,
be a case that Triple G's only choices at this point are of the likes of a Jamal Charlo or Jaime
no.
Munguia,
Or
or
even
who has
his
the so
his
Triple G. I
own.
know he has some belts or at least one belt, right? And then
Yeah.
Charlo
He's,
has a belt. I need to look that up, as a matter of
the
fact.
IBF, I think, doesn't Charlo. I think he has, yeah. But even his own countryman, maybe Janibek, Alim Kanui, he might even choose to fight
Yeah.
him. Who knows? Yeah, because that would be like a big show they could put on over there in Kazakhstan, stuff like that
Oh
for like
yeah,
a
that is true.
finishing.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
That would be a good one, certainly, and it certainly, I'd imagine, would do well there. It's a
Mm.
matter of course, Triple G. This is Triple G. He will be the power player in that sense because he is certainly the
Yeah.
name. So I'm looking at ring ratings, and Triple G has the IBF and WBA. The WBC is with Jamal Charlo
Yeah.
rather.
All
Then the
right. Yeah.
WBO. Oh, so Janabek has the WBO title. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I mixed up because Jamal had the IBF at 154. That's right. Yeah.
Now, was this last fight between Bentley and Janabek for the WBO title, or did he just have that?
Yeah. It was
Okay.
actually.
Okay, I was
I
about to say
believe.
because I was like, I didn't think he had a title. You know, I was thinking to myself, I know we just saw that fight, but I wasn't thinking he was a champion at this point. But
Yeah. He
that
was.
was ultimately the one, I guess, that Demetrius Andrade had because he's the one missing titleist. Now that I look at the ranking, so I guess that's what was expected to.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, I think Triple G would have a really pretty good chance against Alim Kanui,
Hey, back in the mix again.
because his last fight, he didn't really show himself in that fight.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Sorry, I had dropped out of there. I hit the wrong button, but but
uh,
but yeah, I was looking at it. So yeah, I remember the expectation was uh, that Janabek and Andre would fight, but Andre decided to move to 168, or at least
for
that
now,
was at the time. I guess that was at the time. I
he's
don't know what he's
hiding.
doing now.
I hope he's not hiding, running away.
I don't know
But
if
that,
it's that. I don't know what it is. I mean, even when he went with Eddie Hearn over there to match room, he still couldn't get a big fight.
yeah, I don't get
Unless
it.
you consider Liam Williams, which I thought was a pretty good matchup, just because I don't mind seeing Liam Williams fight. But
Yeah,
ultimately, I guess that was the biggest name out of that whole matchroom deal,
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
interesting.
Williams is just a guy who comes forward. He's not a boxer, really. He's not a technical fighter, but he does have a punch and all that. But yeah, it was just too simple for Andre in that fight. Too easy to win. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. And real quick, shout out to Scrapbook Boxing who decided to drop by. Be sure to check them out, folks. Scrapbook Boxing. I mean, if you want to know about the history of the sport, you want to hear it from a real deal sense. Hear from someone who has actually been in there and talked with a lot of these fighters from back in the day that many of them are no longer around, rest their souls. But Scrapbook Boxing, it's a rarity. You get to interact with someone like that. But that's the one you need to check out. His page, Scrapbook Boxing, without a doubt. I'm telling you, it will be a treat. If you want to know about the
Yeah.
history of the sport, you got to check him out. What I'm doing is,
Nice.
I'm just sharing stories and all that stuff. But Scrapbook Boxing, he's in the mix. He knows for sure. He's been in and around these great fighters. So be sure to check him out. Scrapbook says, Peace 86 and co-host. I just wanted to, if the topic correlates to you, speak on how well laid out the Harry Will series with Random Acoustic Thoughts was. Oh, yes, thank you, Scrapbook. So, yeah, we ended up, I ended up doing a series with Random Acoustic Thoughts. We were speaking on the great Black Panther Harry Wills. We did about 4 videos. We actually intend to do one more, I guess, to kind of close it out in the official sense. But we took a look at his career from the start up until the end and some of the big fights that he had, the big fights that didn't happen, one of them being the Jack Dempsey fight. We kind of just talked to that and how Harry Wills at one point was no doubt, even during that reign of Jack Dempsey, the best heavyweight in the world. He is just unable to get that title shot with Dempsey. And
Mm.
my did he try, but just sometimes you know how the sport of boxing, the politics involved, and then people not wanting to risked the opportunity of them no longer having the power that comes with the World Heavyweight Championship. So it wasn't all Dempsey, I would say, but certainly those in and around
Hmm.
him did not want it to happen. And I think that's one
Yeah,
of the primary reasons it never happened, especially when the two were both pretty much rightly in their prime. And just
yeah,
one of those other
true.
fights, right?
Yeah, no, actually, then I was surprised when I saw how few defenses Dempsey had because he had been champion for 7 years, you know. So I was like, he
Yeah.
had 5 or 6, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, in 2 of those 7 years, he didn't even fight. There were two
Yeah,
years he
that's
didn't
right.
fight at all for the whole year. So really, during that 7 year span, yeah, I guess
That
it kind
was,
of came down to
yeah, he could have fought someone like Harry Wills, you know,
yeah.
definitely, or anybody like I don't
So
know who else out there anyway, but
yeah, you had some others. Now they were a little bit longer. With Sam Langford, he was
George
out there. It's a little bit longer in the tooth.
was George Godfrey also fighting at that time, I
Yeah,
believe.
I believe George Godfrey might have been.
He
I
was
think he
one
was.
of the best also in that
Or he was
class, you know.
about to come around. I need to double check on that. But yeah, George Godfrey.
And
He might have
Bearcat,
he
right?
might have started a little bit later though,
Yeah, I
with
know
the
that
Bill Shatter.
he and Bearcat, right? They actually started at the same time as pros. Bearcat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, I'm looking. I just wanted to double check because Godfrey, I'm trying to see when he turned pro because he would have been right. He might
I
have been
think
slightly there. 1990. Okay,
1990.
yeah. So he turned
Yeah,
pro right there. So yeah, there would have been an opportunity somewhere in the
yeah.
mix there.
Could have fought, yeah, Dempsey in that time, like 24, 25, I don't know.
Yeah. And
Oh.
and they waited out Harry Wills to the point where he eventually wasn't fighting as much. He lost to Jack Sharkey and
Hmm.
Alito Uskadun.
Tony.
But by that time, he was kind of just
Well, yeah, I
fighting
mean,
here and
Wills,
there.
yeah. Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
a great fight that didn't get to happen. Harry Wills. So there's a video on the 86 Boxing channel detailing Harry Wills as well. Kind of gives you a lead in into his career and all of that. I think it's a worthy check out if you're interested in the history of the heavyweight division, and you'll understand why this guy is one of the most underrated to ever hit the ranks of the heavyweight division, and just in general, because at that particular time, with how dominant he was over a 5 year stretch, there are those who probably would be in agreement that he might have been the top guy, just period. He was just that good at
Hmm.
that particular point in the sport in itself. But certainly, thank you, Scrapbook, for dropping in, checking us out. We always appreciate that, without a doubt. Uh, so yeah, I guess kind of segueing back into the modern piece of things. Yeah,
Hmm.
we were talking Munguia, we were talking Charlo, 160 pounds, and what could potentially happen
Hmm.
there. I had thought I saw something about Danny Jacobs taking on Charlo at some point, but I don't know if that was actually anything that was officially made.
Hmm.
Jamal Charlo versus Danny Jacobs. I saw a
But that would
poster.
be 168. I mean, I know Danny has moved up, right?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I saw something different. I saw Daniel Jacobs being tied with someone. I have to look it
I,
up.
I, I think he's just past his prime. He should probably quit now. I mean, Danny Jacobs, he's still good, but nowhere near his best anymore. I mean, not to
Yeah,
hit his best. Yeah.
yeah, I can't verify it, but I could have sworn I saw Danny Jacobs' name tied with someone. I thought that it was Jamal
Mm.
Charlo, but that may not be the case in actuality. But hopefully, we get to see Charlo more than once this next year coming up here in 2023. I know he got hurt, but if he could get in there with the name, whether that's him and Janabek, I think, yeah, at this point, it's wide open. I mean, we have Triple G there, who's been the long reigning champion, but we don't know that he's necessarily still the best at 160 at this point. So, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, it's pretty wide open if we kind of dig into who the players are at the top end, and I can't definitively
Mm,
say one person beats them all in actuality. So it's wide open in my opinion.
yeah, I mean, before the whole Corona thing, he got an undeserved nod over Derevianchenko. So already back then he looked like he was on the
Oh yeah,
slide. So and no matter how good Derevianchenko is, he's still not in his own class. I mean, in the class of the prime Triple
and
G.
I will say that Jamal Charlo, he really handled Derevianchenko, beat him up.
Yeah. And even I mean Danny Jacobs, he that was a
Oh
good
yeah,
fight, close on, but he also lost to Jacobs.
yeah, that was his
Derevianchenko.
first defeat right there to Jacobs. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
another one where Jacobs, you could just tell he was just a step better, you know.
yeah. I mean, I remember that fight. It was a really good fight. When
Hmm.
Jacobs, he was like better in the first 6, 7 rounds, but then Derevianchenko had a real great comeback, but that wasn't enough in the end, of course.
Yeah, yeah, and I think one of the issues with Jacobs now, of course, is he's like you said, he's not fighting as often, of course, and that doesn't help things. So if you're on the
Yeah.
slide somewhat and you're not fighting to kind of keep yourself sharp, then I guess the expectation is that
Mm,
you're not gonna look good every time you step out there, and that's been the case with Jacobs, especially in his last two fights. He's talked
mm.
the talk, but certainly when he's gotten in there, you don't
No,
see any
yeah.
urgency or anything of that nature. It's kind of like he's just there. It's a fight. I'm here. I'm gonna do what I
Yeah.
do and get my check, and I'm out of here. That's kind of the way he's fought in his last two fights,
Yeah, I mean, he was really, I mean, one of the best before at 160. But
without a doubt.
and
Yeah,
actually,
I thought he was gonna make
yeah,
some noise at 168, but yeah, he
yeah,
hasn't really made any.
well, yeah, he lost. I was gonna look for what he lost to John Ryder actually last time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's right.
watched that. Now I thought that Jenny Jacobs. Jacobs pulled it off. I wasn't actually scoring it myself. I know I wasn't
That,
alone in that, but they had it for
yeah,
Ryder. I
that
don't think it was
was
a robbery or anything of that nature.
no,
I
it
do
was
think,
very close. I know.
yeah,
I watched it. Yeah, I mean, I know Jacobs was better in the first 4 or 5 rounds or something. Then Ryder started,
yeah. He
punching
finished in a
again.
lackluster fashion, similar to with Gabe Rosado. It was just a lackluster effort. It seemed like.
Yeah, Gabe Rosado, that's right.
So
But
those are his
yeah,
last two fights, if I'm not mistaken. So that's how he's looked in his last two fights.
I
And
mean,
I
he
know it's been
also
a while
gave,
now, right? Since
yeah,
he
he
fought.
is the one who actually gave Golovkin and Canelo really closest fights out of all other,
Yeah, that was a very good fight
fighters.
too.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah,
that's
so
how good he was at his best. Yeah,
so his last three fights is John Ryder, Gabe Rosado, and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I remember that one.
yeah,
So yeah, that's
Chavez.
and that
Chavez
was
was just
2019. So
yeah.
so
Chavez, all he had was the punch, I guess, pretty much, and the size, of course, the height. That's all, pretty much.
yeah. So
Nowhere
Jacobs
near
didn't
his
fight in
father.
2021. He didn't fight
Yeah,
in 2021, and he fought in February of this year. So it'll be probably over a year before he gets back in there. Uh,
mm.
I thought I saw something with him on the PBC schedule, but maybe not. But we'll see, of course, here in the coming weeks. And yeah, pretty much either way, it's going to be another year out for him. So you're right in the sense that, I don't know how much longer he's going to be competing. Maybe this is sort of his last hurrah or something of that nature if he fights again here in
Mm.
2023.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's been around now also for a while, and I was gonna say the
Yeah.
same about Demetrius Andre. He's been, it looks like, to me, it feels like he's been around forever. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't believe he's still fighting. He's even a champion, or was anyway. I don't know if he's still,
Well,
and
that's the thing. That was that WBO belt, so I guess they took it from
yeah,
him, or he vacated it, one of the
because
two.
I remember 2011, 12. He was like the new, new hot name, the new prospect, and that was 10, 11 years ago. So now,
Yeah,
he's still not gotten that far, that he
yeah, you're
should have.
right. And I was looking at it for some reason. I was thinking he beat Jason Quigley this year, but that was actually November of 2021. So now it was November 19th to be exact. So he has now gone a year outside of the ring.
Who did he
Um,
beat?
Jason Quigley, the UK
Oh
fighter,
yeah, Quigley.
he knocked
Yeah,
him out. He
yeah,
stopped him. It was a good win, and it seemed like all momentum was on Andre's side. Like next, it's going to be Canelo, or it's going to be Triple G, or someone of that nature. And then next thing you
yeah.
know, he's no longer in his matchroom contract. So
And
and
while
he
we
hasn't
are on
fought in a
that
year now.
subject, there's also next Saturday, John Ryder is fighting Zach Parker for the WBO interim super middleweight
Oh
title.
yeah, yeah. I recall us talking about that on the Fight Night Scores stream. Shout out
Yeah,
Fight Night Scores, Jim, Big
so
Fish Vega. Yeah,
that's
you're
gonna
right.
be,
John
yeah,
Ryder. So which
yeah.
card is that? Oh yeah, I see card yeah. Never mind. Yeah, they're doing their own thing.
The
ESPN
O2,
Plus.
or yeah, it's at the O2 arena.
Okay.
Mm,
So this is
yeah,
for an
so
interim super middleweight championship.
mm,
Zach Parker, I believe, is the one guy, right?
yeah, undefeated. He's like 22 and 0, 16 knockouts.
Yeah,
Pretty
should be
hard.
interesting. Hey, this is
Yeah.
Ryder. Ryder's got another chance to upset the apple cart and get a title in the midst of it. Can't
Mm.
cut him out yet.
Yeah, I wonder, how much he's got left in him. I think Parker also has a pretty good chance to win. But
Yeah, yeah, certainly he does. He
yeah,
does.
I,
He's pretty
I
solid.
I wouldn't just write off Ryder anyway yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is
Yeah.
true. That
And
is
he's
true.
got he's fighting at home in his own country, and Parker is an Aussie, so
So
they got
yeah,
that
you could argue it's
factor.
a step up for Parker. It could be argued.
Yeah. Or actually, he's not. Wow, sorry, I thought he was. He's from Derbyshire, from United Kingdom. Wow,
Mm,
I must have mixed him up with somebody else from Australia. I think it was. I don't know.
mm.
There's another guy there. I think in the same division or in the middle. I don't know. I forgot. I
Yeah.
know there was someone from Australia. Who was kind of in the mix, but not at the very elite. So I
Okay.
forgot his name.
At 168 pounds
Yeah, or 160,
or 160.
168. I'm not sure. Maybe 168.
Yeah. Well, we just had that Steve Spark guy from Australia.
Yeah, it's not him.
Of course, we got Tim Zoo that is at 160. No, 154. That's 154. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can't remember Australian who's
Hmm.
pretty good at 160 something. Hmm.
Maybe this guy. I think this guy is actually also at 154, probably. I know that he's like has a beef with Team 2, actually.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
I'm
because
gonna try to
Parker
see
wasn't or Spark. Yeah, he was a 140
Team 2.
pounder, I
Well,
believe.
yeah. It doesn't look like any. Yeah. Well, anyway,
But yeah, all good. I mean, one of those things.
Ben. It's not Ben
But
Mahoney, no. All right. Yeah,
oh
it
yeah,
doesn't
those
matter.
two brothers, the two fighting Mahoney brothers, they're pretty decent.
Maloney. They are
Maloney,
Maloney.
yes, Maloney.
Yeah.
Baloney.
Yeah.
But
They are
yeah.
not baloney. Maloney.
But yeah, those two are not bad. They're always
Yeah.
mixed there with top rank. But cool, yeah. So hey, these guys are going to be getting their opportunity at a WBO title, so that could
Mm.
speak to more opportunities down the road. And as
Mm.
we had discussed prior, there were some other fights that took place this past weekend. No huge fights, no huge names. Of course, Anthony Yarde got a win. And speaking of Anthony Yarde, he picked up a stoppage. It was a knockout. I believe it
Mm.
might have been a body shot that took the dude out, down and out. And anyway,
Uh,
but the more compelling news coming out of that is that Anthony Yarde is seemingly signed to take on Artur Beterbiev, a guy regarded as the number one light heavyweight out there, not named Dmitry Bivol. And it just so happens that Bivol and Beterbiev are both Russian fighters, and they may have to clash in order to see who is the dominant one. But I
Yeah,
guess you can say that Beterbiev can't look past Anthony Yarde, who is a big, strong fighter. He had
yeah,
some experience in there with the likes of Sergey Kovalev, even though he lost. He had some pretty decent moments, and the way he went out, I think, was more so due
yeah.
to fatigue as opposed to
He had,
taking true punishment because it was a jab that took him down, and he looked like he was completely out of breath at that point. But Yard has shown some signs that he'll mix it up in there. He lost to Lyndon Arthur in a performance in which I believe he probably didn't use the tools and advantages that he had over Arthur, who is not necessarily a world beater. He's a solid boxer or whatever, but Yard's the better athlete. You could argue the
mm,
better just overall boxer as well. And they fought again, if I'm not mistaken, and Yard was able to right the ship. So this is going to be his opportunity to fulfill himself as the top 175 pounder, like many
yeah,
who he would be when he first came on board, because he had the look, he had
yeah.
the style in some sense, but then it came down to the mental aspect. And is he there yet? We will find out. What are your thoughts on Yard versus Beterbiev?
Yeah, it's gonna be, of course, an exciting one. As you
For as
say,
long as it
Yard
lasts,
didn't.
right?
Yeah, as long as it lasts. Yeah, lasts. Yeah, of course, both guys have the power, to end the fight suddenly. I guess, and I don't know about Better Beer. It's got pretty good chin, I guess, even though it hasn't been tested all too much,
Yeah, yeah, that is
but
true.
yeah, I think this will be a pretty good test. It should be. As you say, Yard hasn't always, fought or risen to occasion, of his fights.
Mhm.
But against Kovalev, he had him really in trouble in the eighth round, I believe it was. But then he was unable to finish the job, and he got tired. And as you said, that's pretty much what happened. So
Yeah.
I think in this fight he will not be the big favorite, but he is definitely, as you said, not somebody to take lightly, by anybody. And he will just
Certainly.
have to fight smart, not just, try to knock Beterbiev out. He has to take his time and, yeah, do just what he needs to win that fight, which is just land the best shots, as many of them as possible, and yeah, and avoid Beterbiev's best shots. Simple as that.
Certainly that. Certainly
Yeah,
that. We'll see if he's able to do so. I think certainly he's very much a live dog in this fight. This is,
yeah,
of course, his biggest fight and step up in competition probably since Kovalev. And we'll see
mm,
where he's at mentally. We keep asking ourselves, when is Artur Beterbiev is going to show a sign that he's slowed down? He hasn't really done so yet. He's every time we see him out, it just looks like he is
yeah,
still in impeccable form. So maybe we won't
yeah.
find that out until
I
he's
mean,
actually in there with Bivol.
if you follow UFC, right, also a little bit anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
you know that these guys from Chechnya and Dagestan, they are
Oh wow.
just incredible,
Yeah,
fight warriors, fighting machines. They are
yeah.
just,
I was watching Bellator last Friday, this past Friday, the Bellator
yeah.
card. It was in the Bellator MMA. Shout out to Random Acoustic Thoughts. He's going to be doing a follow up on that, I believe, tomorrow. But basically, yeah, those Dagestani fighters, man, they're just built different in their
Mm.
training. I remember I was working with this group from YouTube or whatever. I was going to try and assist them with a video they were making, and they were speaking on some different fighters that were in that Dagestani region. And I was just looking up stuff for research purposes that I could see them in the way that they were training and all of that stuff. It's like
Oh
a
yeah.
mentality out there that's different. And they don't have those outside distractions that
No,
we get
no.
here. Like if you're in Miami training or if you're in Vegas or etc. You don't have those distractions out there. So they're
Yeah,
100% dedicated.
It's the way they are raised. It's a very Spartan kind of upbringing, It's and life is pretty hard, out there, over there.
Yeah,
It's not like you don't have all the things that kids have here.
yeah,
You don't have any. You don't play video games, for instance. You don't. I don't know. Go out at McDonald's, stuff like that. You
yeah,
just work, go to school, train. It's all that. Pretty much
yeah.
until
There's one
you.
video I saw. They were out there in the mountains and they were lifting big rocks, using them to work out with.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's Spartan, as I said. It's just
Yeah.
like the old ancient Spartans used to train. And so that's pretty much the same in Chechnya also. And yeah,
Yeah, those guys are tough. Shout out to my mother. Hello, son and boss. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. We're happy to
happy
have you in here.
Sunday.
Appreciate you coming in, talking a little bit of boxing. We were talking about we got into the Dagestani fighters, but we were talking about Artur Beterbiev, who's going to be taking on Anthony Yarde, and what the potential would be for that fight. So this will answer at least some questions at 175 because as of right now, if Beterbiev gets past Yarde, then that seemingly sets up Bivol, which I know that's the fight that Bivol wants, and he hasn't been shy of stating that he'll take it. I know Beterbiev will take it. Now, this is Bivol. I guess he's matchroom now, or at least doing business with them on a regular basis, and then
Oh
top
no.
rank as far as Beterbiev, right? So we can make it happen, I believe.
Eddie Hearn, for like until like a year ago, I was like, yeah, really, I was like, Eddie Hearn is doing a great job, and now,
Yeah.
with this, especially this thing with, in hindsight, to what happened with the Conor Ben and Chris Eubank
Oh yeah,
Jr.
I didn't like that. I
Yeah,
didn't like that leading all the way up to it. It's just like everything. This was a setup fight for
yeah.
Eubank Jr. I just feel like everything was in Ben's favor.
When I first heard about it, I was like, come on, you can't be serious. A guy
Yeah,
who's at welterweight fighting a super middleweight, come on. Just because their dads once fought each other and had this rivalry in it. But that's the way Hearn, he's just, he's a businessman. He is the closest you get to a white Don King, I would say, a European Don King.
the
That's how
yeah.
he is. He doesn't care as long as he knows that he will sell a lot, of
Yeah, I know
paper.
Eubank Senior had mentioned something to the media saying they're trying to kill his son. I believe what he was getting at was the fact that they were adding in all of these stipulations related to what he could come in, like you can't rehydrate over 10 pounds or something like that. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on, he's dropping to 157 already, and then you mean to tell me he can only rehydrate up to 10 pounds? So if he gets there, what do you want him to not drink water anymore? Like what the heck?
Yeah, I know it's pretty, ludicrous. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like what he does there with, he was trying to really push that fight for that fight and sell
Yeah, it
it.
was about the money for sure because it made no sense from a just pure boxing standpoint because there was
And
nothing indicating that they would be fighting.
Yeah, the worst thing is Chris Eubank Sr. already lost a son actually last year, and
Oh yeah,
now
that is right.
he was so afraid. Of course, who knows what could have happened if his son went through with that fight, with dehydrated, weight drain, all that. If he got
Yeah.
knocked out or beaten up, who knows.
Yeah, I know some people were picking Eubank Jr. to win because he was bigger, but I
Yeah,
thought that Ben would win because from what I gathered, all indications it just seemed like everything was in Ben's favor. I just didn't see how
yeah.
Eubank Jr. was going to be able to pull it off, given what he was going to be giving up just to actually be there in the ring that night.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
Ben is also faster. He can punch pretty well, and as you said, he would be fighting his natural way, while Eubank would not, of course.
Yeah, Ben probably walked around somewhere around there. Eubank higher, of
Yeah,
course.
like 150, I don't know, something.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting thing. Speaking of that, since we're on the subject, I know my girlfriend had sent me this thing not too long ago. It's been a couple of weeks now, I believe, but where I guess he gave up his license or something like that.
All
His,
right.
is in the UK for
Oh
the British
yeah, I
Board of
mean,
Control or whatever,
I mean,
because he says he wants to clear his name.
despite the fact that he actually was in a physical advantage, he still
He says
tried
he
to
wants to
cheat.
clear his name when all the facts come out, to
Yeah, I mean,
allude to
he's
the fact that this is some kind of anomaly. I don't know. I don't know.
it's so stupid. Who tries to cheat? I mean, we know that from history that taking steroids doesn't really help you win a fight because you know that.
Yeah.
For instance, when Fernando Vargas fought
Oh
De La
yeah.
Hoya, he was on steroids, but he still, got stopped in the end.
Yeah. 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 He had a good first half of the fight, but then De La Hoya
Yeah,
took over and broke him down. That's one of
yeah,
my favorite
just
fights to rewatch right there because I just
yeah.
remember all the animosity and all of that going up leading into the fight. Where
Oh yeah,
Fernando was like, he's the real Mexican Oscar De La Hoya. He's not, all this
he's
stuff.
like a white man slave or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. So Fernando got Mexico on his side.
Yeah, he did, he did. Like that couldn't have been easy for Oscar. So still, he had the women on his side for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's
Yeah,
a
it
very
was a big
yeah.
fight. Definitely a big fight. It was a good one. And hey, it couldn't have ended any better, right?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
that's what it needs to live up to. When you have that type of back and forth when you're going at it leading into a fight, don't get in there and then it's some boring fight where you're not actually engaging.
Yeah,
These two are
just
going at it.
fighting like this.
Yeah. Well, come on. So so
It's
yeah,
so
actually
funny
live up
the
to it
way.
if you're gonna talk that junk.
Yeah, they just when they both do this stuff, all the time, looks like they are like doing some sort of comedy show or something like
So
that.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, we'll see. Hey, we need more of that right there. And
Yeah.
those guys weren't afraid to jump in there and challenge themselves even at a young age. Because Oscar, I saw on Twitter, I forget what someone put, or no, it was Oscar De La Hoya said something on Twitter. I follow De La Hoya on Twitter. He
Mm.
said something, and then I think it was Paulie Malignaggi who replied under it. What Oscar said, "Let's talk boxing" or whatever. Paulie Malignaggi replied, "Do you think Ryan Garcia will have a better career than you?" Oscar didn't reply back to it, but some other people replied to it, of course, and they were mentioning, hey, by this same age, Oscar, he had already won like a title in like 2 weight divisions or maybe
Yeah.
somewhere around there or whatever. And it's like, yeah, really no comparison in that sense.
Yeah, I
We're
don't think
struggling
there's.
to get these fights made with some of these young guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back like 11 years ago, people were saying that Victor Ortiz is going to be the next Oscar also, though. So,
Oh
but
yeah,
that
they
didn't
were.
happen, as we know.
How right they were, huh?
Yeah, exactly. That was actually a good fight until as long as it lasted when he fought Floyd Mayweather, of course.
Oh yeah.
But he was so dumb that he just ruined that
Yeah,
fight for
that's
himself.
funny. He wasn't ready for the big stage. He seemed like he was, but apparently not.
Yeah, it looked like he would rather hug than fight in that last
Yeah,
round. He would,
that was funny. Yeah, I was watching this base in it's in Virginia, Quantico. It's a military base right there, Marine Corps base, and
all
I
right.
was over there at base housing, had some friends. We were all watching it. A lot of Mexican friends who were there rooting for
Yeah.
Victor. Oh, it was so funny. I was rooting for Floyd, me and some others or
Yeah.
whatever. But then the way it went down, it was just a crazy. That was a crazy
Yeah.
night in general. It turned into a crazy night overall. But
You
that
know,
was partly the reason right there as well.
yeah, in my opinion, I thought that what Floyd did was not good, not nice, not fair
No,
in
no,
any
no.
way. But also Victor Ortiz had his also part of the blame because
Yeah.
he shouldn't have done that. They already kind of shook hands and he hugged, and then he again does it, and he just leaves himself unprotected.
Yeah, protect yourself at all times.
Yeah, he because he was counting on Floyd to be a gentleman as well, and
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
just took advantage of the situation.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny looking back on that because you always you have different sides where some say, "Hey, protect yourself at all times." Like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm not mad about it. And some like, "Hey, he shouldn't have did that while he was not ready or whatever."
It's a choice, everybody has a
Yeah.
choice. Either you play the gentleman or you take advantage and you win easier than
Yeah.
you would have. And we I don't know what happened afterwards with Larry and Floyd. That was priceless. That whole interview.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a crazy night.
when he did when Larry like did
Yeah.
this, he turned
If I
around.
was 60 years, 50 years younger, I'd kick your ass.
Yeah. He's like, they should fire you. You don't know shit. You ain't shit. You don't know anything about boxing.
That is funny. That is funny.
Yeah. And he's like been covering it like for how long? Like 35 years at least.
Yeah, it's
40.
been a minute. Been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in that. We might have talked about it before. He's in that iconic Floyd Mayweather, or not Floyd Mayweather, but Muhammad Ali photo where he knocks out Sonny Liston and he's standing over him like this. I have it in here,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact. But in the background, out there in the crowd, Larry Merchant is in there. The younger Larry Merchant, like
Yeah.
right between Ali's legs. For those listening or whatever, if you go look up a picture, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever seen. Have you ever seen it?
No, no, no. I mean, I've seen the picture, but I never saw that detail. I don't know how he looked as a young man, but I
I'm
guess
gonna see if I can pull it up. As a matter of fact, I think
he
we should be
wasn't.
able to do that.
I guess he wasn't too different if you were able to recognize him.
Yeah, yeah. Let me. Well, he's younger, of course. Matter of fact, I'm gonna present this. Of
Yeah, I
course, if
know.
you.
I know. Larry was my favorite of all those HBO, guys. I didn't like Lampley that much, and
Oh yeah,
George Foreman, I thought was like just there because of his name, simply not so much because he's such a great expert.
yeah. So right here, I'm
All
gonna
right,
zoom in. Right here is Larry Merchant.
that's Larry. Wow, I
Yeah,
wouldn't have. Oh yeah, yeah. I kind of see now that I can recognize some of his
yeah. You might have to
features.
zoom in a little bit bigger, on your side or whatever. But yeah, that's him standing right
Ooh,
there. He was just
he's
right
like.
there in the right moment. So he's in this iconic photo, and many people don't know, but it's just a funny thing. But yeah, if you look closely, then you'll see it. Yeah, that is him. Kind of resembles
Mhm.
his face, just a younger version of him.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Larry.
well, he was quite a character,
Yeah, yeah.
always.
So he's like, I've been around, folks. I've been
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, what's funny when he told Bernard Hopkins, he said,
Oh,
well, he said something about fighting because he gets paid, and he says to Bernard, well, it looks like tonight you got paid for not doing much, Bernard.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's when Bernard fought his mandatory. He was like, "Hey, I fought my mandatory."
Yeah, like that guy from
yeah,
Egypt or wherever he was, Morale Hakar. Yeah.
that was funny. It's classic stuff.
Yeah.
Classic stuff. Um, I guess I'm looking. I'm just so happen I'm looking at the upcoming fights, and of course, this Friday, actually, Eubank is fighting. Eubank. Oh no,
Well,
this
yeah,
is the
he's
other one. This is the brother, actually, huh?
Liam Smith. Is it that one?
Oh, so that's who Eubank is taking on at some point.
Yeah, that's what I heard anyway.
No, I think this is the other brother.
Callum.
No, Eubank brother.
Oh,
Harlem.
Eubank.
Harlem. Harlem Eubank is fighting.
Oh, yeah,
I was
Harlem.
thinking it was
Yeah.
Chris Eubank for a minute.
Yeah,
Junior.
there are a few of those brothers. That's right.
Yeah, so it's not him. It's actually Harlem Eubank, but he's gonna be fighting on some card.
He's rather new, isn't he? I mean, in the pros, I think.
Yeah, his name isn't out there like that outside of
He's like
the
a welterweight, so he's smaller, I think, than Chris
yeah.
Jr.
Liam Williams is gonna be making a return as well on this card.
The Welsh Warrior.
Well, sure, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
Liam's not bad. So yeah, that's good. Of course, this is
Yeah.
on Friday. It's on the UK, and it looks like it's going to be showing on what looks to be 5 Freeview. I don't know. This is a UK. It might be hard finding it in the US unless you can find some stream out there. It's some kind of channel or service I
Well,
haven't.
I'm thinking. I wonder who they will match Callum up against next. That will be interesting.
Oh yeah, Callum Smith at 175, right?
Yeah, that's the guy. He's
Well,
got real potential, I think,
well,
because
I wouldn't mind see him and Zerto Ramirez, even though that probably won't happen
yeah,
immediately since Zerto just fought.
yeah,
But I think that's a good matchup.
yeah, two big guys at light heavyweight.
Yep, both of
Mm.
them, both of them
And
look
even
pretty solid.
though, yeah, Zurdo is not perhaps that kind of puncher like Callum, but still he has, got
Yeah, he
good
usually
pop.
does it through accumulation, so he can get you
Yeah,
out of there. He was just unable to do anything with Dimitri Bivol.
yeah, he was really looking out of like a fish out of water,
Yeah.
the fight.
Now, yeah, I feel he's better than what he looked in that fight. I just, because I feel that the Bivol is as good as advertised. That being
Mm,
said, I do think Zerto Ramirez is better than that showing, and
yeah.
but he
Well, I
did look
mean,
bad. He did look bad.
certainly. I mean, if they had a rematch, he'd probably do at least a little better, in that
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, he couldn't. Yeah, it's like there was no other plan. Once he couldn't get inside and really do much.
As I said, yeah, I
Look
only
at
gave him one round in that fight, so it was that when people took a break, in the 10th.
yeah, same here. When I went back and rescored it, yeah, I only gave him one, and
Mm.
that was a generous. Some would argue that was generous.
Yeah, yeah, even that one was kind of,
So
close.
So yeah, I think we were speaking about this last week. Kind of bounced back for him. I remember I had throughout cruiserweight as well, which I think, of course, I feel he has the frame to go to cruiserweight. That being said, there are still fights at 175. I mean, he looked good in there with Sullivan
Mm.
Barrera, even though Sullivan Barrera himself is, kind of
I'd
getting up
like
there
to
in age
see
or has gotten up there in age.
Zurdo versus Badu Jack. That would be a pretty good one, I
Oh
think,
yeah, that
because
would be Badu. He's fighting at cruiserweight now,
yeah,
even though he's not a
he's
big cruiserweight. He seems like he could still make
no.
175.
And then I watched that fight when they were fighting over at Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah,
I watched
Badu
him
Jack.
fight. Yeah, some guy from
That
Puerto
Papa
Rico.
Rivera dude.
Yeah, that was really. I mean, he went life and death with that guy. He won in the end, but it was very, very tough fight.
Yeah, that dude. Yeah, he's a little bit better than probably people may have thought. He was coming up from 175 too. That was his first fight at
Mm,
cruiserweight. So uh,
right. He looks kind of younger. I
yeah,
mean,
he is.
Badu is like 39 or something already. So
Yeah, Badu. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna get a title at. Well, I don't think he's gonna get a title at cruiserweight.
no,
So it'll be
doesn't
interesting.
look like it. No.
Yeah, definitely because I think the size will play certainly more in the favor of Lawrence Okoli,
Yeah,
Opataya, and Morris
yeah.
Britas. Just these guys
Yeah.
are bigger, they've been fighting at that weight.
Yeah, I mean, you got also Macau, who is a big puncher, dangerous fight
Yeah,
also.
Makabu. Yeah, that would be an interesting one.
He's the,
If Makabu is looking for, there's
yeah.
not a ton of names Makabu is gonna get there at 100 or 200 pounds because while he's of course a known commodity in the
Hmm.
sport, he isn't known like from a mainstream perspective. So maybe him taking on a Badu Jack would do him more service as far as at least that'll be a name that some people are familiar with and people will want to
Yeah.
tune in. Plus, it does.
He's,
Plus, I don't think that Canelo thing is going to happen. I still think he's
no,
secretly trying
no.
to hold out, hoping Canelo makes the choice to go ahead and go to
Yeah.
cruiserweight.
That's just sounds so far fetched. Canelo
He got his
fighting a
hopes up. They
cruiserweight.
maybe should give that up.
Yeah. I mean, Canelo has said he wants to fight primarily at 168. He said that after Cole fight. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I don't think he will go to cruiserweight. That's just too much. I mean,
yeah.
such
I
a
saw something
big.
about him doing this fight that he wants to do coming up, maybe in May or whatever, and then he wants to fight Bivol again. So he does want to rematch
Right.
Bivol. So I think that takes
Yeah.
him off the table for all of those guys looking to fight Canelo. It's not happening in 2023 either. They'll fight each other.
175 is kind of more realistic for him, also. But yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Random Acoustic Thoughts. Says, "What's up, fellas? Appreciate you dropping in. Random acoustic thoughts. Of course, it's always great. We had Scrapbook Boxing drop by before. He sends his regards. Of
Yeah,
course, he was speaking on the Harry Wills series. Of course, that's been great. Got to finish that up, but it's always good talking about the great Black Panther Harry Wills. And shout out to Hype Sports. He says, "What's up, JMB? This is Syrian, I believe. I believe that is the case. Long time, buddy. Long time." It says, "Congrats on 1K. Thanks. Appreciate it, buddy. Without a doubt. It's good to have you in here." I believe this is Syrian, aka Hijeka. If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. Yeah.
yeah. That
So
guy. Yeah.
appreciate you dropping by. Yeah, it's been a while. Been a good while, but hey, still holding strong, man. Trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
Trying to make it happen. We're gonna keep pushing them out there. Well,
Yes.
yeah. He said that good, great. Hype Sports. Hey, follow
I,
Hype Sports. I'll follow Hype Sports. I gotta check you out.
Kieran, it's like Kieran, right? Yeah.
Oh, see, it's how you say a K. Okay. Yeah. Kieran. Yeah.
Like it's an Irish name, yeah.
Yeah. Language is so funny, right?
Kiaran, oh yeah, it's Kiaran actually. That's right, Kiaran.
Yeah. That's funny. But cool. Yeah, it was great to have you in here. So yeah, we were talking some of the upcoming stuff. We kind of went to cruiserweight. We were
Yeah,
speaking on Badu Jack, certainly Zerto, all those guys. But also, of course, we must mention the big fight of the weekend, a fight that hasn't gotten as much fanfare. We're talking about this last week. Jose Zepeda, Regis Prograis. Great matchup, great stylistic matchup.
yeah,
You have a come forward, crafty fighter with good head and upper body movement in Regis Prograis against a more so a counter puncher who can actually put his shots together very well in Jose Cepeda, and he has a little pop on his punches when he catches you. He's got the knockout of the year, maybe a year ago against Ivan Baranchyk, and so they're going to be taking each other on in this sort of low key potential for one of the best fights of the year. We haven't really seen Regis Prograis on a major stage in a while, probably not since that Josh Taylor fight, actually, when he fought him, and it was a close fight that Josh Taylor won, and this was what I guess took
yeah,
Josh Taylor over the edge and into the undisputed ranks, or maybe no, that was when Taylor actually beat Jose Ramirez.
yeah.
So, but it was one of the ones where he was able to capture the belts to get him to that point of
That
undisputed.
was a great fight too.
Great fight, yeah, great fight. But yeah, usually Regis Prograis when he's in the fight, it's gonna be good. He's a come forward fighter, like I said. He's offensive. He likes to throw punches. Zepeda, he will mix it up. He is very much a counter puncher, but no doubt about it, if you get into exchanges, he can do his thing as well. So I think it's going to be a good fight. And it's being promoted by, I believe, Marv Nation, who won the purse bid. I want to say, because I think Zepeda was supposed to fight someone else who ended up getting hurt. And this is what came about. Regis Prograis stepped in. But folks, it will be here next week. What are your thoughts on that, Boz? Because I think, hey, it should be getting more traction than it's getting right now.
Yeah, it's like really what boxing needs. At this point, there hasn't been that much big, exciting fights lately, and yeah, I mean, both guys, we know that. Sorry, they like to come forward and mix it up. As you said, Prograis is a little bit more, perhaps. Yeah, I don't know if he's a little bit more clever, perhaps, but anyway, Zepeda is such a great brawler, as well, and one of the greatest in that division, I would say. Very tough guy, and yeah, has been around with some of the best already, like Ramirez and Baranchik, of course, yeah. So yeah, of course, most people favor Prograis, and I guess I also do favor him, but it's not, a given that he will win
You're right.
this fight. So
I agree with you 100%. It's certainly not a given. I slightly favor Prograis as well, but that's not because of any dislike or anything with Zepeda, because I like Zepeda. I love his style. It's fun to watch him because you know that he could slip in something big at any moment, just given he's good with timing and all of that stuff. So it's very much a 50-50 fight in the sense of,
Yeah,
man, both of these guys can legitimately win. And yeah, it's going to be good. I just think it's going to be a good one. And I'm looking forward to it. Definitely. And
yeah,
I think it'll answer, or at least help answer some questions with some things at 140 in terms of who's going to be the next name to pop up with some of the other guys. Because 140,
yeah,
you had Taylor become undisputed, and I guess he's leaving the division, or we'll find out. Maybe he's fighting Catterall again. But either way, we've got some new blood that has moved their way up there in Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez, so they're
yeah,
going to be able to get the wave of those lightweights as they're bouncing and moving up there. So I think 140 is going to stay in the mix as one of the top divisions as long as we have those
yeah,
lightweights in the process of moving up. Because I think eventually, probably after this year, Haney will be there. I think we probably will see someone like George Kambosos ultimately head there, and we'll see how he does. But I think we'll also see some of the other top guys, maybe Jermaine Ortiz, who seems like a pretty solid 135 pounder. He's going to be eventually get up there, I
mm,
believe. So I think 140 is going to get back to that sort of one of those premier divisions as well.
yeah. I just hope not everybody leaves
Oh
135.
yeah,
It
yeah.
also
Well, yeah.
needs
We need some people to fight
to
Shafir
keep it
Stevenson, you know.
some big names anyway. I know that Lomachenko will not be leaving it anyway,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. Lomachenko,
yeah,
Lomachenko. So Lomachenko Haney is what we might get.
yeah,
Hype,
Haney
Hype
also.
Sports says just a quick question: what is Boz's real name? Raid.
Here it's Slaven. It's that's the way you say it, Slaven. But
Slavin. Now I call him Slavin because I live in
what?
America, in the
Yeah,
U.S.
well,
So I
you
call
know,
him Slavin.
there's a, I believe there is a last name in for it comes from Ireland or somewhere like Slaven also.
So if you
Yeah,
heard me refer to it, it's Slavin from Boxing Haven. That just rhymes
Slavin,
well.
but not slaving, but slave. I'm not slaving for anybody. That, just so you know.
Yeah, 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 without a doubt. But yeah,
Yeah,
cool. But yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
interesting
don't
stuff
mind.
there.
No, yeah.
Oh yeah, no mind Hype Sports. Hey, I'm gonna check your stuff out. Hopefully you have some videos up there now so we can come check you out. You know, I know you're working on some stuff. That'll be good. But yeah, so 140, hey, it's gonna be there in the mix. Then so next weekend, some decent amount of fights as mentioned. So we have that. Of course, we spoke on some others that'll be there. Charles Conwell is gonna be fighting against Juan Abreu, which should be a match that he wins, probably stops him. But in the UK, we're gonna have Dillian White making his
Yeah,
return since being knocked out by Tyson Fury to take on Jermaine Franklin. What are your thoughts on that? And I will say that I don't recall Franklin. I looked him up. I can't really remember much. I saw he fought Gary
yeah.
Forrest.
Me,
So I don't know. This is his opportunity, of course, to shine and
yeah.
really do something special. If he's able to knock out Dillian White over in the UK, I think that will definitely help boost his name out there.
But I think Dillian White by now must be kind of damaged, because he was knocked out by Povetkin, Tyson Fury, and that those were pretty bad knockouts, pretty hard, And even though I still think he is pretty much the favorite on paper anyway in this fight because I don't know much about this guy, Jermaine Franklin, and
Yeah,
he hasn't yet fought anybody really well known anyway.
yeah.
So, but
The only name
yeah,
of significance or of note was Jerry Forrest,
yeah,
who gave the Chinese heavyweight a tough fight.
right,
James
and he
Delay.
also had to go, hey, won by a split decision. So like in that
Yeah.
fight, this guy. I also have heard of Rydell Booker.
Oh yeah,
So that's
Rydell Booker. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's a crafty fighter, but he's certainly an opponent more so. If I'm not
so yeah.
mistaken,
I think
Rydell might have been the one who was in jail for a long time.
I
But
think this is supposed to be an easier fight for White. After those big fights he had, those losses also. So he's supposed to be. This is supposed to be a winnable fight, simply for
yeah,
him. But
I
who
mean,
knows?
Dillian White is talking about rematching Tyson Fury. And definitely, this is supposed to be a fight he wins.
Bad idea. Bad idea. He was simply
He said he hurt his foot. Did you send me that article? Or no, that was maybe
no.
that was Rodolfo sent me an article where Dillian White said the knockdown hurt his foot. That's why he lost.
Yeah, but before that, he simply wasn't able to get anything done, any kind of
Yeah.
really attack. But I don't think he's good enough for
And I don't
Fury.
think Tyson would want to do it anyway, considering he never showed up to the press conferences.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
no, you're
Yeah,
not going to
it's
try to
kind
sell
of
the fight. So no, I'm not going to fight you. I understand that
no.
one.
I think White should just focus on smaller names now.
Yeah,
Because he's been kind of found out that he's not as good as perhaps some of people thought. Anyway, he had a few. He got a win over Parker. That was also kind of questionable. I believe
yeah,
one of those knockdowns he scored. He first had butted Parker. That's what I think happened.
yeah, yeah. And
Anyway,
I
yeah,
Yeah, I thought he
no,
would do better against Fury. It was a disappointing
yeah,
showing from him, without a doubt. And shout out Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more who decided to drop in. Appreciate it, brother. He said, salute my brothers. Be sure to check out Bruce Gas. Go check him out over there on his page for great entertainment. He does a lot of good interviews out there as well. So check out Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. And Hype Sports says he's actually a football player, soccer player, that is. So
nice.
kudos to that. I'm gonna have to put up some videos so we can see you bending it like
Yeah.
Beckham. Mhm.
For which team do you play for? Is it some kind of famous team or
FC Barcelona, is that what it is? High sports.
maybe how is that one called? I don't
Or
know.
maybe he's Manchester City. You out
Yeah,
there?
Stoke City,
Yep. UK.
Bolton maybe. Yeah,
Stoke City. Good.
or
But
Bolton Wanderers.
yeah, I like the Wolves. I like their logo and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, you mean those are Wolverhampton. Yeah, that's right.
Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's a cool
Those
name.
those orange shirts, I like that.
Yeah. They're pretty cool. They're pretty
One of
cool.
my favorite colors.
Yeah. Orange is pretty sweet. So you understand that. Uh, so yeah, Hype Sports says Franklin is an underrated fighter. Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not gonna sleep on him. I can't speak on him to that degree because I
Yeah,
saw some of the names and he has a couple of decent names as you're kind of just trying to come up. So this is certainly his test. Maybe he'll shock. Maybe he'll shock us. Dillian
mm,
White isn't the best boxer from a fundamental standpoint, so he certainly leaves himself open to be caught with something big. And if Franklin can land something, we know that White can be knocked out. We've seen that on
yeah,
occasions, multiple occasions. So we'll
mm,
see. Hopefully, Franklin can make a good fight of it because it should be interesting. But
yeah. I mean, White still has the power, to knock him out, of course, and I hope he does because otherwise the fight might turn very boring. A lot of grappling and stuff. Yeah,
mhm. Yep, and this same card is what we were speaking on last week, where we'll have Fabio Wardley, potential
oh yeah,
future opponent of Dillian White, were he to win, or maybe even
my
Franklin
favorite.
to win. But we're gonna have Fabio taking on Nathan Gorman. I know we both
Yeah,
lean towards Fabio Wardley winning that fight, and
yeah,
but it'll be a good one, as far as hey, he's gonna get his chance to go up with someone that a lot of people had viewed as probably potentially being that next sort of top guy out of the UK, or at least one of them right there in the mix. And
yeah,
if he's as good as it was thought back then hey, he could give Fabio Wardley some trouble here. And if Fabio Wardley is as good as seemingly the trajectory he's on, then he should be able to defeat Nathan Gorman here in this fight because, of course, is arguably a step up for both of them as it relates to their last bit of certainly for Wardley, but
Yeah,
for Gorman as well in terms of since that loss
yeah.
to Dubois. So, what do you
Dubois,
think?
yeah, he was simply poor in that fight. He was destroyed. And I think Worley is actually the thing is he is faster than Dubois, so that makes him even more dangerous for
Yeah,
Gorman.
he's less straight up and down than
Yeah,
Dubois can because Dubois can be like that at times.
yeah,
And when he
because
sets
that's
himself
the
when he's
way.
throwing his punches, sometimes he kind of standing on 2 feet there.
Yeah, I mean Dubois is built like Riddick Bowe, somebody like that,
Yeah,
very heavy, very very bear like, and Fabio is not. He's tall but. Quite slim, he's not so heavy, heavy, very, very muscular. He's not like that.
yeah,
So that's good. I like that because that makes him faster.
yeah.
So he is my favorite British heavyweight actually right now.
Oh, good
So
stuff. Good stuff.
yeah.
Hey, that's good. Hey, this could be his coming out party. He gets the
Mm,
opportunity to do so on this billing.
yeah.
Uh,
So he's got I think he can win a world title in future,
yeah, it's a good
especially
fight.
after Fury and Wilder and those guys retire, and even with them all there, he can do it still.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. We're also going to get an appearance from Craig Richards, who's going to be taking on Bolotniks. I forget
Oh,
Bolotniks' first name. He's from like,
Ricard, something
oh yeah,
Ricard.
I was thinking I was going to say Richard. That's what was in
Yeah,
my mind. But yeah, is
that guy who was like he was so funny before the Boazzi fight. He said
yeah,
if he wins, he's gonna have pizza and drink beer.
yeah. Hey, he really made Buatsi work in that fight. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
Buatsi was that the fight where his eye was closed?
Yeah, he got. I remember he took a lot of those uppercuts and stuff like
Yeah,
that from Bolotnik. So in the 11th round, he finally got him out of there. But yeah,
yeah,
it was.
yeah. He had to work hard to get Bolotniks out of there. So this will be an
Yeah,
interesting one. Craig
and
Richards.
Eddie Hearn, he was so pissed off. When that guy, what's his name, Coogan Cassius, he
Oh
asked
yeah, yeah.
him. He was like, "Are you gonna now steer him towards the world title now?" Because he was like, "Are you really? Do you think he's ready?" And he was like, "No, I'm gonna steer him towards the Commonwealth title. What do you think?" It was like very rude in that interview. I never seen so rude and angry. And then in the end, Cassius says, "Well, you've been steering Dillian White for 5 years," and he's like, "Oh yeah." Hearn
That's
is
funny.
like just
Speaking of such, let me
sarcastically.
see if anything's on the tap for Joshua Buatsi. Looks like no, not yet. Of course, he fought Craig Richards in his last fight. Craig Richards, solid all around light
Yeah,
heavyweight, good guy to take on, a good opponent to take on in terms of not world level, but he's certainly good enough to
strong.
be in there
Yeah,
and hang with some of the best.
big strong guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like.
yeah. So I guess
I
you could
mean,
say he's world level in that sense, but
no, I don't know what
he's
to
not
think of.
elite, but he's definitely good.
I don't know what to think of Watsi really because he's had some good wins where he looked pretty good, like destroyer type. But then he struggled against Bolotnik, who is obviously just a solid, but not really, really elite level fighter. And also then Craig Richards, same thing, solid guy, but not really a really, really like a marquee
Yeah.
name. So yeah,
So I'm pulling up the ring light heavyweight ratings. I want to get a look at who they or where Buatsi fits into the picture. They have him listed as number 7 right now. Richards is number 10. Then you have the likes, of course, of John Pascal, who is rumored to be fighting Buatsi, but I guess that fight was turned down. And then Anthony
Pascal.
Yarde is number 8. Joe
Hmm.
Smith Jr., number 6. 5, Marcus Brown. 4,
Still,
Zerto. Yeah, this might change here at some point. Uh, then you have Caleb Smith, of course, and then Artur Beterbiev. Now, that's an interesting one. What do you think about Caleb Smith versus Joshua Buatsi? You think Eddie would
Yeah,
do that?
that's the fight that would actually be the most logical one,
Could you
except
see Eddie
for
making that one?
also Yard. What? Oh
Could you
yeah,
see Eddie
why not?
making that one?
I think so. I mean, but I don't know if he wants to really put his fire in such a dangerous fight.
Yeah,
But yeah, it depends what's on stake. You know, if it's like a world title eliminator, then why not? You know, if it's the only way that Watsy can get to a world title fight, you know, what other option is there? Aren't so many other options.
yeah. Well, outside of that, the only way to get a title is Bivol or Beterbiev, and
Yeah, and he's
Bivol
not, you
just has
know,
one.
Watts is not gonna be given, I think, just that title shot just like that because he didn't impress
Yeah.
against Richards, you know, and had he knocked out Richards, then yeah, surely, probably he would be given that.
Well, yeah.
So
But I will say to Richard's credit, hey, he was in there with Bivol, and Bivol. I don't think Bivol stopped him, but Bivol certainly outboxed him. So I
yeah.
guess he had probably a pretty solid chin, seemingly.
Hmm. Yeah, he's like, you know, also like Zelfa Barrett. He's a really solid fighter, but he's
Yeah.
more like a spoiler, to put
Yeah,
it
yeah,
like
he's not a
that.
puncher like that or anything.
Yeah, he's just there to make it tough for the big name. You know, that's all. You know, so to give them a test. You know, he's not there to win.
Yeah, 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 certainly. So yeah, so well, that is the case, and then another one, I know we've mentioned before, might not happen now, but potential for Joshua Buatsi versus Anthony Yard.
Mm.
But understandably, I can see Yard. He's aiming to get that title shot with Beterbiev. He was a mandatory at least, and of course that was going to be his only path to a title. There's only two paths right now anyway, and
Yeah, I
so I
think yeah,
understand
would
that. So
win.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see who Buatsi ends up taking on here in 2023. It
Well, you
seems like
know,
maybe the Pascal fight was probably the best option.
yeah, I think Yar would win probably against Watsia right now. I think so. Yeah, Watsia having those defensive issues, you know, that he has, and not always being the best finisher either. You know,
Yeah,
that can be really crucial in a fight like against a guy like Yar, who also big puncher and yeah, usually can finish off his fighters.
he has an opportunity to send John Pascal into retirement.
Yeah,
He should have taken that, but hey.
yeah, why not? I would like to see them that happen
And
in
then I
that
guess there's
way.
Marcus Brown. I think that would be certainly a test for Bawatsi to see where he's at for sure, because Brown is
Yeah,
one of those guys. He had a belt, of course. He lost it to Pascal in a fight where it ended up being, I think, a cut that stopped it, and Pascal was up on
right.
the
Yeah,
cards because he had scored a couple of knockdowns. So that in itself kind of left that open for him. But
yeah. Brown is kind of you never know really where you got him. You know, like he he can be really impressive one fight, and then the next he is just he
yeah.
not. What happened to your camera? I don't see you now.
Oh, I was using some Kleenex
All
to clean
right.
my nose. I didn't think
Well,
the camera
that's a
was.
nice logo you got there, anyway. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, 86 boxing logo. Check it out.
Check it out,
But
people.
no, good stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, back in the mix. But yeah, so yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, British boxing has gotten pretty big. I mean, when you think about it, it's better now than it was a few years back. You know, they got at heavyweight, they got a few, big names at cruiserweight, light heavyweight, and then also super middleweight. Yeah, so it's yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, those are I believe the major fights coming up right there for
Mm.
this weekend. Of course, well, there's actually a card on Sunday as well, going down in England. Well, no, it's in Alexandria Palace,
Yeah,
Hill, United Kingdom. I guess that
yeah,
maybe that's
must
England somewhere in there. This is a UK card that's going to be taking place on Sunday, so we get some boxing on Sunday. Cool.
Yeah.
We'll be able to talk about some of that stuff that is going down. So yeah, some solid cards this weekend for sure. So we'll be able to chat more about those. But yeah, boxing. Let's see what we do. We see what we do. There's other fights that are coming up, or at least we've heard about. But we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the
Hopefully,
most part, yeah.
hopefully there will be more to. Well, I know in December also there are a few good cards. I mean, fights happening.
Yeah, cool. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to keep tabs on things. We're at an
Mm.
hour 20 minutes, which is not bad. Not
Not
bad.
bad.
Not
Not
bad.
bad at
If you
all.
know, you know that it's not bad.
Mm.
So I guess we can wrap things up
So
with that. So
yeah.
any closing words there, Boz?
Yeah, I don't know really. Just yeah. Hopefully we'll have more good fights to talk about in future, and yeah, we're
Definitely.
really looking forward to next weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, that should be on tap. With that, of course, be sure to check out Boz on YouTube, Facebook, the Boxing Haven discussions going down in the group. Same with 86 Boxing, we're there, all that good stuff. But of course, we're always available to chat, dialogue on the sport of boxing without a doubt. So we thank you all for certainly being in attendance. Salute to Bruce Gass. It says, have a great day, 86 and Boz. Peace. Same to you, Bruce. Going to be sure
Same
to
to
check
you.
you out. I know, hey, again, follow Bruce Gass, Boxing, Jazz, and more. Very entertaining stuff. I mean, gotta love it. So, yeah, we appreciate everyone dropping in. Hype Sports, Scrapbook, my mom, Random Acoustic Thoughts, everyone. Thank you all. And for those watching on replay, you as well. Salute to you. Have a good one.